I have never run into more racism than I have in my life that I ran into the military.
Really?
Oh man, I actually, yeah. When I went into the military, they asked me what I wanted to be. I told them a military policeman, but I didn't have my driver's license with me. So they said, "Tell you what, just go in there and raise your hand for 2 years, okay? Because once you raise your hand, you're in there, okay? And then when you get to the reception center, ask what you want, then enlist for the other year." So I get to the reception center, and I said, "Okay, I want to be an MP." They said, "Well, the option's closed." Okay. I said, what about engineer?" "Oh, sorry, the option's closed." I said, "Well, what about armor? Can I drive a tank?" "You want to go armor? Sure, you can go armor. Good." And they made me armor, right? I thought. So I'm down on the line. I'm firing my weapon. My drill sergeant kicks my foot. He said, "Hey, Bailey." I said, "I do not want infantry, by the way." I told him, "I do not want infantry," because I knew what it was. He said, "Bailey." He said, "I fired that weapon good, boy." He says, "Because you infantry." I said, "Uh-uh." I said, "I'm going to second armor division. I've already got my stuff back at the barracks." He said, "That's right. You're going to second armor division, but you won't be in the tank." And I went back and I looked at my orders and my MOS. They had made me infantry. And I'll admit something. I'll admit something. I sit there and I cried, not out of weakness. I cried that they could betray me in such a way because I actually gave an additional year of my life to get what I wanted. And then they took three non-black 2 year regular army people
Hmm.
and made them military policemen, gave them what I asked for after telling me the option was closed.
Why do you think that happened?
They were not going to give me what I wanted. Their job was to put as many black folk in the face of the enemy as they possibly could. Wasn't much different than what they would like to do now, because the more blacks you have in combat, the more of us are going to die, literally. So these guys, and they definitely, and all my scores, anything, all the things I wanted to do, I had phenomenal scores. I mean, I could have been a jet mechanic, everything. My mechanical, I'm a good mechanic. I still build my own motorcycle. So my mechanical score was off the chain,
Hmm.
and no consideration for that at all. I could have been so many different things that they were not going to let me have because it would be better than what they have. And none of these were black people. They all, so they wanted to basically, so they laughed at me. So when I left out of the office that day, they laughed at me because they knew what they had just done for me. They knew they had lied to me. They knew that they had altered the course of my life, and it was fun for them. And so,
Did you turn something negative into something positive? Because you're there for another year.
yeah,
You
no,
know.
no, for 3 years.
Yeah.
Didn't when I got to Fort Hood, they had a sign up saying, "Do you want to be an MP?" I said, "Yes, I do." And he said, "Well, they made me a military policeman in Fort Hood, and I picked it up as what's called a secondary MOS." But when they gave me orders for Vietnam, which was in June of 72, May of 72 when I got back, May of 72, I left there in June. You leave out in your primary MOS. But so I didn't get the opportunity to stay as a military policeman long. I
Hmm.
ended up back in combat arms, and I spent the next 2 years of my life in the combat ready unit in Baumholder, Germany. And so I was glad to leave.